mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. The people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and men. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Deuteronomy 10 and 12. So you should know these things, brother. You should know that.
Think I do?
You need your fringes. Where your fringes at?
Yeah, I wear spiritual garments. I wear spiritual garments. Let's see what the most
Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12. And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee? Brother, this all love. He's not here to argue. We're not here to do nothing like that. No ill will. We showing you love. That's all we're doing here, right? Yeah. But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord. Give me fringes. We must keep the commandments of the Lord. You know that, right?
I'm not no arrows at you.
No.
Listen.
No. We hear.
I'm not shooting no arrows at you. Please don't shoot none at me.
No, we're not shooting none at you. This is what we're doing. Leviticus.
Thank you. I know what you're doing. Please don't shoot none at me, because I have no soul.
Leviticus chapter 19 verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. You know, I'd say before, it's all love, brother. And what's love? What's love?
Love is keeping the commandments of the Most High.
So listen. Thou shalt in no ways rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. We're supposed to correct you, brother. That's love. That's, follow not hate, and that's we're supposed to love our brother and we'll correct our brother. Like you don't have your fringes on, that's a sin. Give me your numbers 15 and 38. Let me show you that you're out of order right now. You understand?
Stop. You shooting what you call it, brother? I don't see y'all during the week at all with y'all fringes. So this is the only day that you're gonna pick them girls your fringes. Don't tell me that.
Fringes in the borders of their garment.
Thank you. You're welcome. The book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments. Read on. Throughout their generations.
For as long as we live, as long as we're generating on this planet, we're supposed to wear fringes. Go ahead.
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe.
Pay attention to this part.
That ye may look upon it.
That you may do what?
Look upon it.
That you may look upon it.
And remember all the commandments of the Lord.
And do what?
And do them.
And remember all the commandments of the Lord. That's the purpose of having fringes on. So how do you have fringes on and you're talking evil? You see how you don't believe in the scriptures? Everybody claim that they believe. But your action is what's going to show whether or not you believe. But your action is what's going to show whether or not you believe. But your action is what's going to show whether or not you believe.
All the praises and the honor goes to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Recha Ha Quadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and even the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you other brethren, you fellow believers and followers of this faith. Also shalom to you few sisters as well, you sincere ones. And shalom to the hopefully elect, shalom to the elect. I want to touch on this video real quick here if I can, and I'll try to keep it short, see where the spirit goes. This video was titled, Israel, Wear Your Fringes, right? So it seems like these jakes of the IUIC, and they may be sincere in what they teach because they got it from Bishop Nathaniel, right? And it seems as though this jake that came up, he tells them, the first thing they tell them is where your fringes at. Maybe I believe he knew he was an Israelite. So this is why we would never be able to fellowship or have unite with these camps. We're just at Great Millstone. We're just separate, right? But the first thing they did was attack this Jake for not wearing the fringes. And I don't understand, did they even read the letters of Paul, where Paul was using guile and so forth. We wouldn't do this to this Jake. Jake would come up and we would try to convince him, convert him, but in a matter with guile, see where his head at is on the name. If he wanted to know the name, he's up to learn. And that's their thing, if that's what they teach. I remember one guy came up with a flu, and he wasn't even in the congregation, obviously. And they told him, take off your hat. You can't have your hat up here while we're teaching the word. You know, some of these brothers just don't know. And your job is to try to convince them and convert them, through spirit and truth. Now, it's still up to the Lord. But we're going to go into some scriptures, maybe look up some words and dive a little deeper, if I can, in this topic. Let's go to Mark 12 and 29. Where's 12 and 29? Let's see where this is. Mark 12 and 29. It says, Yahushua, and Yahushua answered him, the first of all commandments is, Hear, O Israel. I can almost quote this, 12 and 30. Hear, O Israel, and thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. So you hear these Israelite jakes lined up in the purple of gold, said we must follow the commandments, which we should, because to the best of our ability, because that is our heritage. But what they don't understand is Yahweh didn't need us to wear borders of blue and fringes to reference him. And in fact, over time, our people started wearing those fringes in the borders of blue and became wicked, right? The Lord already knew. He set it all up. We were doing it. We're fools for the Lord, by the way. He set it all up where ultimately he would have to send his son to bring us back through faith, right? That's what he had to do. Now, we're not teaching like a Christian church. We do believe in wearing garments in our borders of blue, but it have to be through faith. This is what Revelation 2 and 10 is about. And that's what this Jake, he quoted at the end of the verse. You got to have faith, and that's where it comes at. When you're looking at too much of the garments in it's supposed to be phylacteries as well, tefillin, phylacteries, when you look at so much of that, we're going to get some examples real quick, and he says it's your actions that's going to show whether or not you believe. Well, it's going to come down to faith. That's what it's going to boil down to. And faith without works is dead. So yeah, it's a little of both. So let's go to Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Hear, Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk to them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest in thy way, and thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, right? And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. So we can clearly see that we're in a situation now, and this is what Yahushua came forth to bring us back through faith. Because on the Sabbath, the Passovers and certain things that we were able to do, you're not able to do anymore, right? So when we go to Matthew 15 and 8, it says, this people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, right? So these would be people who would have wore their borders of blue and their fringes, Let me go here. Let me go to Mark 12. Well, no, first let me get Matthew 10 and 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Well, how the hell would you be wise as a serpent when you're going out everywhere you go with these purple and gold fringes on, man? And harmless as doves. How the hell would you be becoming harmless? Right? It makes sense. But I got so many things open, tabs. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the Spirit. It says, Matthew 23, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge their borders of their garments. So you had Israelites, who would, make these extreme garments, these extreme phylacteries, right, to make themselves seem more righteous. And it says, enlarge the borders of their garments and love the uppermost rooms at feast and in the chief seats in the synagogue. It almost sounds like these guys. Let's look up this word phylacteries. It says a fortified place provided by the garrison, a preservative or safeguard, an amulet. The Jews used the word to describe small strips of parchment on which were written in following passages of the law of Moses, Exodus 13, 1 through 10, 11, 16, Deuteronomy 6, which I just read a little of that, and which enclosed in small cases, and they were accustomed when they engaged in prayer to wear fastened by a leather strap to their foreheads, right? And to the left arm over against the heart, in order that they might thus be solemnly reminded of the duty in keeping the commandments of God. So this is why these guys don't teach the mark in Revelation 13, because that's where you're going to spiritually need the mark of the Lord and not of the beast, right? When it comes down to it, that's when it becomes, because all of this is of the Lord's, that's when it becomes a physical thing on the left-hand side and a spiritual thing on the right-hand side, right? These scrolls were thought to have the power, like amulets, to avert various evils, to drive away demons. So these guys need to understand why they're wearing these garments. Yeah, it's for the remembrance, but at that time it was remembered, you wore that as a border of blue and the fringes, right, as a reminder to the Lord and to drive away the demons. But you see, the Lord released demons on Jake with garments. Because if the garments was going to save you, then all these Jakes that wore garments, why are they out? Why they dropped out? Why they ain't there no more? Why these wicked, evil men to even turn on the Lord with garments? The Pharisees were accustomed to widen and make broad their phylacteries, that they might render them more conspicuous, and show themselves to be more eager than the majority to be reminded of the law of God. So let's go back here to Matthew 10, and we're going to go down to, give an example, 10, and I think I lost it. Let's go to Matthew. I know it's 10 right here. 10 and 41. And Yahushua said over, this is Mark 12, Salaki, and 41. And Yahushua said over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. Right, but remember the laws, right? And there came a certain, now of course IUIC will read this and make it their doctrine. I'm just saying, this is for the elect. And it says, and there came in a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, right, which make a farthing, and he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, verily I say unto you, that this poor widow have cast more in than all they that have cast into the treasury. Now suppose this poor widow didn't have a garment embroidered in blue. You see what I'm saying? It's because of your spirit and you loving the Lord. Because you had a lot of people who wore garments. You can read all of Matthew, Matthew 23? They walk in with their chests out, throwing the money in there, big shots. For they all did cast in their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Right? So we could clearly see, let's go on down here. I'm just making a point. Isaiah 52. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments. That's what that's representing. You know, O Jerusalem, the holy city. Right? Now, when you go, you know, the scriptures also say, you know, talk about a Jew inwardly. So when you go down here to garments, it says treachery and deceit. Garment, clothing. Right? That's what it says. It says treacherously, deceitful, deal treacherously. You know? That's just another definition of garment. Right? So we can see when we read this, put on our beautiful garment, is not just talking about some flashy garment with all kind of crystals on it, man. Although you can have a beautiful garment if that's what you want. But it goes deeper than these garments. It goes by faith, right? And this is what Paul was talking about. I actually just did a video yesterday on it, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But you know what? Let me go to Romans real quick. Is it 3? One of my favorite scriptures I like to pull on these particular topics. Let's go to Romans 3 and see what it says. There's nothing wrong with trying to follow the laws to the best of your ability. We're not saying throw out the laws or throw out the commandments. We're not saying that. But this is why they got so mad at Yahushua when he was healing people on the Sabbath day. They were saying this is unlawful. So according to them, Yahushua was breaking the commandments. According to them. Because when you really deal with certain parts of the law, it became corrupt because people used it, right, for their own personal sacrifices. You know, not to the Lord, right? It says here, let me go on here. 3, Romans 3. But now the righteousness of Yahweh without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. So there's a balance here. We can show you that loving the Lord, right? And we know that for sin is the transgression of the law. But the worst thing you can do is put on a bunch of garments, right? Phylacteries or whatever you're doing, and don't believe in the Lord. And this Jake, Israelite of the IURC, said that. So we know it's bigger than wearing garments. We know that. You should know that. Because you got people who can throw on garments and still don't believe in the Lord or still doesn't have faith in the Lord. That's why he said, be faithful unto death. But now the righteousness in Yahweh without the law is manifested. That's why Yahushua came. Because of all the wickedness that was being done in the law. That's why he said, think not I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come to fulfill. Right? Which they teach we're in the new covenant. Well, he hasn't fulfilled all of it yet. He still has more to go. For all have sinned and come short of the glory, being justified freely through grace, through redemption that is in Yahushua. Again, I'm not saying that, you know, not to wear your fringes. We are saying that you can't make that a full doctrine when you're going out into the workforce and everything you do. You got these borders of blue and fringes on, and you're being marked. That's why he said, I send you out in the midst of wolves, to be like a serpent, right? Where's boasting then? Is excluded by the law? By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Why is he saying that? Because there's certain things you're not going to be able to do, and you're going to have faith. Let me make an example. You got a guy, we at the end times, the markers rolled around, they instituted it, and it's time to be delivered up. Now, who do you think going to get delivered? The guy that gets dragged into the court and say, you haven't accepted the mark, so you're going to die. But they dragged you out of your bed. You had no time to get your fringes, right? But then the guy comes in there, I got my fringes on. But he accepts the mark. Guess what? He's going. He's not going to make it. You know, you people don't understand it's beyond the law when it comes to the Lord. Although we do follow the law. How close are you to the Lord? And sometimes because you think putting on fringes is not a whole justified means to say, hey, see, Lord, look at me. Remember that scripture that says, let me get that real quick. But let me finish this up. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Right? This is a scripture that the IUIC and a lot of these Israelite groups like to pull. It says, many will say unto me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Right? And this is what they like to pull and say, see, these other groups are talking about the name this. Well, wait a minute. You guys says the name don't exist now. So why are y'all flipping that and making it seem like we're speaking of Yahushua? But true, some people who call on the name, right? If they calling on the name and they ain't diligent and sincere, they never had the name. That's the whole point. And in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works, right? Meaning you had your garments. Right? You called on whatever name you thought you believed, right? So here we go. It says, and then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, that ye that work iniquities. Right? So it says, many shall say of me that day, Lord, Lord, has not cast out devils in thy name. So this group is saying the name, if it's Yahushua, it doesn't mean anything, you know, because a lot of people, this is why Matthew 13:9 was present. It was given to you to know the mysteries, but to them is not given. And that's one of the mysteries. Now they just totally dropped the name altogether. What chance you had in getting closer to the Lord, you don't have. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.